Hey, everybody, and welcome to Authentic Points of View podcast. I'm excited today. All right, so this is season 4, episode 4, and what you doing? McKenna? All right, sorry. And we are late owls tonight. Woohoo! It's not that late. It's 7 p.m. Eastern, but usually we're here at 3. So, all right. You ready? Yeah. Okay, we're ready. So, I'm really excited about today's guest because she means a lot to me. And so, you will love her if you've been here from the beginning. And she was on season 2. We met her in May 2023. And so, if you've been around, you know this name. I've had her on twice on 2 different shows and now a third time. So, Monique Derouen is a mind body coach, somatic trauma specialist, and craniosacral therapist, and owner of Black Diamond Mind Bed and Butter Retreat Center. That is a tongue twister. No, I'm just joking. She's my actual, not only my personal coach. That sounds very selfish, but she's my coach. Um, and so I'm not going to cry, but I'm really excited that she's here and it means a lot to me. So, McKenna, ready?
Welcome to the show, Monique.
Hello, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I am really, truly, really excited. Like I said, it's just like so. I don't know. It's like a full circle moment for me because we met in 2023, and I love to rhyme, and that rhymes, but and I kept saying like okay, I want you to be my coach and all this stuff. And just things happened and I just was not ready at the time. And you gave me time and you came back and you said, hey, I'm doing this 90-day reset and all this stuff. And, you know, how you doing and this and that. And I was like, I know if anybody can help me. And it was perfect timing because I just had a hospitalization and all this stuff. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to talk with you and McKenna tonight, and I am hoping that your guests take home a little nugget of something that will help them with what they're experiencing as well.
Thank you. And honestly, like if anybody can help anybody, it's definitely you. You have a wealth of knowledge and you have done so many things. I don't usually do this, but if you want to explain and say like literally all of the not all the things you do, but kind of like um a summary of like what you do and there's several different modalities that you do, but like what is your purpose and what do you do?
Yeah. My mission is to help women in generational chronic pain. I had a very long chronic pain history myself. I watched it in my mother and my grandmother and my aunts and my cousins. It was kind of like everybody in the family had these same ailments and symptoms and diagnoses and things wrong. And I saw us repeating the same patterns over and over. And my children are now in their 20s and they're fabulous, but I saw that I started passing the same thing down to my kids, and it really scared the heck out of me. Like it scared me so much that they were part of the thing that woke me up and made me realize that traditional medicine definitely has its place. It's a beautiful thing. If I need to treat or diagnose a symptom, if I need emergency care, I want to go to a doctor. If I break an arm, I want them to reset it and take care of me. But the things that we were experiencing were things like migraines and gut issues and weight gain and just things that a lot of women deal with, a lot of females deal with, period issues, endometriosis, things like that. We kind of talked about, Danielle. And when I found out there was a way to treat things holistically, I just kind of went all in. Now, in the beginning, I didn't know much. I went for a holistic certification. I started dabbling around with essential oils, removing, processed things out of our home, just trying to go more of an organic and natural route. And over time, I began to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And now what I do is I work with the somatic body, I work with the trauma body, I work with epigenetics that are passed down in families. And my vision is to, again, help people in chronic pain so they don't pass that down to their children anymore. And I believe that when you feel better, you do better. And I believe that every human deep down truly wants to feel better. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm hoping for. That's my mission, my vision, and how I want to impact the world.
I think that that's really cool because it can also be generational, which is not good if it's like chronic pain. But if in some ways that if you figure it out and it keeps going down, then you can help your kids with it. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I never wanted my grandkids or my kids to suffer the way that I did, or the way that my mother did, or the way that my grandmother did. And it was such an eye opener for me to see me repeating some of those same patterns with my children. And the beauty is they were able to call me out. We have a great relationship. Like I said, they're in their 20s now, but we have a great relationship, and they've always been brutally honest with me about things. And it was good. And we grew up together. I had them very young, but I could see that I was making some mistakes as a parent, and I didn't want to impact them in a way that would hurt them in the long run.
Yeah, I had my oldest ones very young. And so I went to my son's apartment, which was really cool, but I got to meet my granddaughter and all that stuff. And he is like me in ways that I'm like, oh no. Like he's not neat, and that's how I was. And I apologized to him. And I was like, I'm so sorry that I was a good example in a lot of ways, but not in that way. And so, once you get to a certain age, and you can always change, of course, but it's harder to like reprogram yourself and do things differently. So I was like, I'm so sorry. But I love what you said because no offense to my mom, but like she always talked about her pain. That's how I was. I always talked about my pain. I'm better about it now. Like when I'm in pain to like check myself, try to do stuff, breathe, do the different things and see if that will help. But I'm like, don't say it out loud. You know, I talk about it all the time. So we talk about a lot of stuff. You help your clients with a lot of things, but like also like mind, body, and we talk about energy. So can you like kind of talk about like, so whatever you kind of manifest or focus on is what we bring more of? Can you kind of like explain that a little bit?
Yeah. One of the simplest ways to do this, and it's an example that everybody relates to and loves, is McKenna, Danielle, listeners, think about biting into a lemon.
Oh, I love lemons.
Yeah. So when you think about biting in a lemon, what just happened in your mouth?
Mm-hmm.
Flavor.
You like salad, but you like
For some reason, like water, like
Yeah.
because that always happens when there's like a sour thing.
Exactly. So, but the thing is that you didn't bite into a lemon. Your brain just thought about it. So that's the power of our brain. Another favorite example is a pickle. Big sour pickles, the big dill pickles. Think about that. I mean, immediately as soon as I say pickle, my throat just like salivation starts, right? You can taste that sour. That's what your brain can do. When you think about something, your body feels it, whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
And so when you're focused on something that is painful or disturbing or creating anxiety or nervousness, the body begins to amp up and move into that place where your mind is focusing. And when we are activated, our nervous system is activated. We're nervous, we're anxious, we're sad, we're disappointed in a negative vibration. We respond from those spaces, we react, right? So if you are annoyed, you might get loud, you might slam a door, you might fuss at somebody, you might say something you don't mean. It's a reaction. And so likewise, when we're focused on what's working, what's going well, when we're appreciative, when we're in alignment, we respond from that space, which is normally a lot more calm and more loving and connecting. And I know that most people can have examples of this in their life where they can see those moments where they've reacted out of anger and frustration or out of love and connection.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Yeah. So I've worked on stuff, for a while now, but you have helped me with so many things. But I'm just going to say really quick and then we'll ask you questions. But when I first started working with you, I had just got out of the hospital. And I think, when did we start? October or November?
Yeah, it had to be a last quarter of the year. I'm not sure when it was
Okay.
exactly.
So I had just got out of the hospital. I had debilitating migraines, was so dizzy I was almost passing out all the time. Really bad palpitations, just like so many things. And I didn't know where to start or what to do. And I did a lot of routes. So, I'm authentic and genuine. So like I did go to the doctors that they told me to go to.
Yeah.
I stopped drinking caffeine. I drank more water. I started drinking electrolytes, but I also see a vestibular physical therapist and started working with Monique. And so I think of you sometimes when I'm like about to make a decision or something, and I'm like, oh, or I'm like, okay, am I really hurting, or is this what I'm used to? Is this what my body thinks? Right. And so it's so amazing, like all the awesome things. And I'm going to say one more thing. I hadn't flown in 20 years. And I used to throw up every time I flew. I would throw up. It was even a short flight, hour and a half, or my flights to Germany, I would throw up all the time. And so a lot of other things happened too, but I was kind of scared to go because it was when all the stuff was happening on the planes. I won't talk about it because it's probably still happening, sad. But I did a lot of things that you taught me while I was at the airport, and neither time did I get sick. I didn't get dizzy. I didn't pass out. I was scared about the change in the, altitude. Well, isn't Colorado like higher or something? Anyways, speaking of that, but it's just like I've thought of all those things. I worked on it. I did some deep breathing. I did all kinds of stuff. And I was so excited that like I was like, I survived and I didn't throw up and all these things. And my mind, I say, which is not what you say probably, but you have to trick your mind sometimes, right? So when it comes to like middle school and high school, that's what the age range is for this, and parents, of course, and anxiety. What are some things that you can ask this if you want. You want to ask?
I don't know what you're gonna say.
Oh, well, you can ask about anxiety. I'm taking over.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Well, what would you say? Like, what are some things that somebody with anxiety could do to help their head and to help everything? Because when you become overwhelmed, it hurts your head. Like you get headache, and you can become overwhelmed. And so, what would you say to help that person?
There's a few things that we can do, and we can walk through some exercises. But first, I love that you make that connection at such a young age, right? That when you're overwhelmed, you get headaches and things happen, right? You get stomach aches, you get headaches. So let's first look at what anxiety is. Anxiety is a prediction of the future of what could go wrong, right? So when you're feeling anxious, you're thinking something bad could happen, something bad could go wrong. The crazy thing about this is that nothing's gone wrong yet, but our mind is anticipating it. And I want to share something else with you. When I learned about anxiety, I learned it from this big emotion wheel, right? It's this big circle that has all these different emotions. And I didn't know there was a bunch of emotions. I was grown and I didn't know there was all these emotions, right? But right across from anxiety is excitement on the opposite side. So think about going to ride a roller coaster, or there's a field trip the next day, or something that you're excited about, right? your heart beats fast, your palms get sweaty. It's the same thing as when you're anticipating something that could go wrong. So I think one of the things that we want to look at is, am I anticipating? Am I anxious? Or am I excited? And what if we begin to reframe the word anxiety into anticipation? And let's go further. What if we could reframe the anticipation of the negative into the anticipation of the positive? So, one of the things you could do is change a thought, but sometimes that's really hard to do in the moment. So, a practice that I like to use and that I've used for many, many years is a breathing technique where you inhale through the nose. And as you inhale, you say the word in your mind, I.
You want to try it with her?
Sure.
Let's try it with her. Well, I do it with her.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
So
So-
it's 2 breaths in and out. So it's inhale, I, exhale, am, inhale here, exhale now. I am here now.
Whoa.
You like it?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would do that at school when I have a test.
You should.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. Use it for a test. Use it if you're nervous. Use it if you are about to go up on stage and talk in front of the school or present in front of the class, or you're walking through the hall and you see somebody you like or you want to connect with, right? Like just getting in your body for a moment. I know what that's like. I remember being in school and I remember that I wanted to hang out with people and connect with people, but I was really nervous because I didn't know them that well, or I wanted to be their friend. And, you know, you think all the crazy things. I'm going to embarrass myself. They're not going to like me, or they're really going to like me. And maybe they actually don't. So to ground first is always a great technique before you go expose whatever it is that you're going to do, express whatever it is that you're going to do.
Mhm. Sorry, somebody is commenting, so we're writing back, and I'm not that smooth like you are in our class.
My friend Alana is watching. Hi.
Yeah, yeah. So
I'm asking if she has a question. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Go ahead.
what you have?
Okay, let's see what she said. Okay. So you said grounding. I'm so sorry. We're so like organized. What exactly I know what grounding is, but if somebody doesn't know what grounding is, I think there's a lot of different ways you can ground. But what would be like a simple way that maybe like an 11, well, McKenna's 11 could do to ground?
Okay. So imagine that the feet are on the ground, right? They're actually on the actual ground and the head is really high. So when you're overstimulated, overwhelmed, nervous, anxious, it's all up here. It's very heady. And so we want to ground into the feet so that we can come down and we're not just all up here in the anxiety. So, like I was telling you earlier, McKenna, like maybe squeezing your toes. If you're at your desk and you have shoes on and you're about to start a test, maybe you just squeeze your toes a few times. Maybe you try that breathing, I am here now, as you send that breath up and down the spine. And I kind of like to imagine it coming up the spine like a straw, just like how you sip water or soda through a straw. You know, it comes up and then it drops down, and then it comes up and then it drops down. But we want to end on the down, right? So grounding would be anything that moves us down to the feet.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's deep.
Okay. So what do you have any questions so far?
No.
Really?
Yeah. She's explaining it really good, so I don't have anything.
Okay. So let's see. I am here now. I love that. We do that a lot. That works for a lot of things. If somebody, so I love how you said and explained, because you're so good at explaining things. Anxiety. So yes, that's something that like hasn't happened yet. And it can be scary, like if you're in the middle of it, because you help us also like figure out like what symptoms are happening or what physical things are happening. So like what you said, or maybe like you get flushed, or maybe your heart rate starts to beat. So other than the I am here now, is there anything like, because I know you teach us, which I loved, the somatic like exercises or like shaking out, or like, is there anything that if they were in private, of course, in the middle of the class, you can't just start doing that, you might get in trouble. But is there anything, something like, I don't want to say simple, but something like not too difficult to do for a child that they could maybe do?
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say you're at home, or you're in the car with your parents, or you're somewhere safe that you're not going to be embarrassed or worried about what other people are thinking. You can do some somatic work, right? So somatics is, think of the soma is the body, it's the physical tissue. And so imagine, like I showed you earlier, you think about something and your body is now feeling all this sensation and emotion, just like we talked about the pickle and your mouth salivated. If you're worried about a test or something going on at school, or maybe you've gotten into an argument with one of your friends and you're really upset or anxious about it, and your body's, your stomach's in knots, or you got your throat, it's hard to talk, or you got pressure in your head, or maybe you're finding yourself kind of gripping your hands or squeezing your stuff at your hands and things like that. One of the things you can do is make fists and just tap on the body, tap on the arms. So I like to call this butterfly because it's like a butterfly, right? You can do your palms if you want to, but I like fists. I think it gives you a little more vibration. So you can do that. Just cross your arms with me. You want to try it?
Yeah.
And just tap down. You can tap all the way back up and down like this. And just take some breaths.
Good job.
And then maybe just shake out your wrist for a second. That's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is go right on. So in the middle of the chest right here, you have two bones. Right here, you have a clavicle, right? And so anxiety is often held right underneath there. So you can kind of push up into the clavicle. And this vagus nerve stimulation. I mean, it's you're stimulating your vagus nerve to go into a parasympathetic, which is a calm state. You can also put your fingers in your ear and pull down. So put both fingers in your ear and then pull down hard. You may feel the need to say that again.
I do that all the time.
Yeah. Kids do this kind of stuff naturally and don't even realize why they're doing it. They're so brilliant. Kids are so brilliant. You can pull down and just kind of take a breath, just let out a breath. If you want to make a sound, I like to make sounds. You can put your hand on your belly and a hand on your heart, and you can just make the sound ha. Like a, just ha.
That feels like calming, huh? To me, it does.
Yeah. So those are just a few things that you can do that are really simple. Anybody can do anywhere. Again, you're not gonna do this if you're in a bunch of people, but you might put your hand on your collarbone and just act like you're scratching and push in. I would often rub pennies, like I'm rubbing a penny in my fingertips if I'm in places, or I use I am here now a lot when I'm walking through the grocery store or I'm in my car. Those are all things that you can do. And of course, EFT and TFT are great resources, especially for children. So you could just tap and say, even though I'm feeling all this anxiety, I love and accept myself anyway. I'm super scared. I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do. Right? We want to just express what our mind is saying. And I wonder if I can feel better. I wish this would stop and go away. I'm ready for it to end. And then you just take a breath. And even when I feel all this anxiety and I have this pressure in my head or this knot in my stomach, I love and accept myself anyways. So we could always do tapping and stuff as well. So many different options, just really depending on what you need and where you are.
Yeah, please ask.
So,
Mhm.
are you familiar with the 5 4 3 2 1 method? I think it's different because it's not like counting down. But in fourth grade, when we
Yeah.
when we had my teacher, she would do emotion lessons every day, like after math, I think.
Mhm.
And that was before we had periods. It was just all one class. And so we did 5 breaths in and out, and then we did 4 handshakes and 3 foot shakes, and then two stretches, and then 1 jump up.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really great method. And as you get older, you might want to try 5 4 3 2 1 with a different theory. So it might be 5 things you can see,
Mhm.
Oh yeah, we did that one
4
too.
things you can touch, right? 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. So using all your senses.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good grounding method too. That really works, especially if somebody's like, well, depends on what part of the anxiety they're in, but if they still can focus, then that really can get people out of going into like a full blown panic attack.
Right.
Um, so we talked about migraines a few times. You are a former migraine sufferer, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to say a former migraine sufferer. I went from like literally like so, it was so bad, debilitating, which I know you know how that feels, to every once in a while, I'll get like and it doesn't last the whole day anymore. I can get it to go away. Without medication, like it's just a beautiful thing. Not saying I'm like perfect and nothing ever happens, of course, that's not true. But a lot of, like McKenna said, that she can feel those things in her head. Um, Other than I am here now and the grounding and stuff, is there anything specifically that, like forehead, not a forehead, that was hilarious, but FOR, forehead, like heading
I know
thing.
what you mean, forehead.
But this is the forehead. Okay, that was funny. Is there anything like specifically for the head that could help in the moment?
Yeah. So think about what's happening in the head that's producing the migraines in the mental and the emotional state, right? So when we're going for perfectionism, when we are people pleasing, when we are over giving, overdoing, overthinking, over processing, right? Overwhelm. When there's a lot going on up here, the body says, "Don't worry, I'll take care of you." So the brain is sending signals to the body, right? And the body says, I got you. I'm going to shut down your thinking and your over processing and your perfectionism. And I'm going to give you this hard, painful experience so that you go take care of yourself. So, a couple of things we want to think about before we get to that point. Self care is super important. And I think, especially at the age you are, McKenna, really understanding self care and being able to apply that right now is going to be amazing for you as you get older because people like your mom and I were probably not taught about self care when we were your age. And we don't know what we don't know. But now we know that when we take care of ourselves, the brain doesn't send signals to distract us to make us take care of ourselves. So I think, everybody having a daily routine that suits them. For me, every night I go make a bath, I put some Epsom salt or some soak or some essential oils in it, and I just sit in there for like 10 minutes because water calms me down and it helps me sleep really well, right? So in the morning, I make sure that I journal, I have my tea, I have my quiet time before I have to work with clients or get on the internet. So it's all about carving out that time for ourselves, that the things that make us feel good. So I don't know what feels good for you individually and are your listeners, but you know, does water feel good? Does exercise feel good? Does journaling feel good? Does listening to your favorite song feel good? What are those things that you can give yourself every single day, no matter what, not negotiable, just like eating and brushing your teeth? It's just part of your day. It's something that you do. So I think that's one thing to begin to prevent it. The other thing to do, which I know this is really hard with different generations and stuff, is learning to express in a healthy manner. So if we feel overwhelmed, it's letting that be valid before it comes into a problem in our body. If we are perfectionists or people pleasers, really discussing those kinds of things before it turns into a chronic ailment or a symptom that takes us out.
Oh, people pleaser. That's another thing. Yes. So, if you don't know what a people pleaser is, it's in the title. People pleaser. So it's basically you're putting yourself last, which I'm in a profession that we do that all the time. Nurses, like, that's just kind of, we just take care of everybody but ourselves. But my body stopped me. So I literally was dizzy for 2 weeks, y'all. 2 weeks. This is before I worked with Monique, by the way. 2 weeks every single day. Started to feel like I was gonna pass out. Didn't do crap about it. Just kept feeling like a there we go. Went to work. One day my body said no more. So I come up from lunch, can't even barely walk. I make it to the break room. Everybody that knows me is that I just keep pushing, pushing, pushing. They said, "Are you okay?" I never say no. I said no. Everybody was like, "Whoop, antennas up." Danielle said no. By the time they got a wheelchair, my whole right side was out. I could not barely move or feel my right side. That's how fast it went. My body told me, "Okay, I'm done with you not listening." Basically,
Yeah.
just like, I'm done with it. Like, you're just not listening to me. And so, you like, it's real, like you just said, like, your body knows how to heal itself. And so I think that's fascinating, like the things that you help everybody with is like different places that hurt in the body are related to something. Like, you talk about liver and kidney a lot. Is kidney fear or is liver fear? I don't remember.
Kidneys fear, and the
Okay.
liver holds a lot of anger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you can ask the question. I was talking, but
no.
No, go ahead.
After when you're done.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I know that anxiety and everything can like cause stuff, but like, what else can anxiety cause other than like when you're like my age, like school, like getting in trouble, bad grades, or just getting stressed out overall? What else could it do?
Yeah. So
Mhm.
anxiety is the sensation that our body feels. It's the emotion that we label when we're not sure what's going to go right or wrong, right? So if we're afraid of something, we can have anxiety, and that anxiety, like we said, can show up pretty much all the way down the middle of the body, right? So your head, your throat might hurt. You might feel pressure in your chest. Your belly might feel in knots or nauseated. And your hands you might grip your hands really tight. And so it's showing up in the body because your mind is predicting something. So just like your mom was just talking about, she never said no, she's a caretaker. Most women are caretakers. And so I think this is really important for young girls to understand that yes, it's important to take care of things and your family, but you have to take care of yourself first. Imagine that you are trying to use a cell phone that's got like 5% battery, and somebody else wants to use it first. But you need to make a call. And so they take your phone and they use that 5% of the battery and they give it back to you with 1%, and you don't have a charger. You didn't charge it. And so now what you need doesn't happen. It's kind of like that. So we want to charge our own batteries first. And I think that's really important that young girls understand. if you don't want to go to the pizza party or the sleepover, I know it's hard to say no. But if you really in your body and your knowing know that that's not for you, saying no is going to save you a lot of pain and heartache later on. Because what happens is people like your mom and I said yes to things like that. And then as we got older, we didn't know how to say no. It's the fear that we're going to hurt somebody's feelings or they're not going to like us or they're never going to invite us again, you know? And it might be true. I've said no to people that probably are not going to invite me again, and that's okay. But it's not really aligned with who I am and what I represent and what my values are. So I don't really want to go to those places. But the scariest thing in the world is to be separated, to be alone, to not have that connection, right? So we anticipate what could go wrong and we say yes, we agree to things that we don't really want to do. And as you get older into teenage years, this turns into a lot of peer pressure with boys and relationships and alcohol and drugs and other things that could be really dangerous. And so I think it's really important that we practice saying no now. Obviously, if you need to clean your room or do homework and you don't want to do it, there's a way to communicate that with your parents, just, hey, I don't really feel like doing this right now. This is going on. This is going on. Be really open and talk to them. You might be surprised at how they can support you and maybe even help you in a different way. And I hope that, makes sense to parents as well. Just allowing those young girls, especially, to be open and honest with us, when they're struggling with something or something's going on from our end, not get upset that they're disobeying or they're being bad, but rather to try to understand where they're actually at emotionally and mentally that is creating this physical concern.
Yeah, thank you. And middle school with a girl compared to middle school with my boys, it's a different world.
It
It's a
is.
different world. And times are different. From my oldest is about to be 24. And so she's 11, So I mean, times are different. There's technology, there's all these things. But it's really like I try to be supportive, but it's hard because they're so emotional. And then I think like, so was I. And so it's just like trying to communicate effectively. Um, that brings up a question that like how, other than like grounding and stuff, like in the moment, how can a parent, let's just say mother and daughter, because we're here, communicate effectively when emotions are high and
Yeah.
and they're like, I mean, and find out what the other one needs in the time that emotions are super high or people are angry or whatever.
Yeah. I think one of the best tools that a parent can do is to inquire what's really going on. You know, a child not wanting to do homework or not wanting to clean their room or being disobedient, I don't think that they're actually out trying to cause trouble. There's likely something going on. Something happened at school, something happened on the bus, something that they're experiencing in their nervous system or their body. Their bodies are changing, their hormones are changing.
Mhm.
Around 9, their brain waves begin to change, which takes them out of that very childlike innocence into a more preteen, uh, pubescent area in life. And so I think it's really, really, really valid to connect and just, hey, it looks like you're struggling today. Hey, I noticed that you snapped at me or you got upset. Hey, I get you don't want to do your homework. Look, nobody wants to do their homework, right? Like nobody wants to do that.
Right.
Nobody wants to wash dishes. Nobody wants to clean the room. Let's not lie. I don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. She doesn't want to do it. But let's find out what's really going on underneath the surface that is extracting this reaction or this, behavior that we often call as bad and we want to punish, but I don't believe it's that at all. And McKenna, maybe you can speak to this kind of being that age, are there things that your mom asks you to do and you just don't want to do it? And she might think you're just ignoring her or not listening, where you're actually got something else going on in your mind or your heart.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
happens all the time, like every day.
So
Because I'm the type of person who Like, unless you ask me 12 times, I'd say I don't want to talk about it. Don't I
Yeah.
always say that? I don't want
Yes.
to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And then when they ask, like, so many times, and I just go ahead and say it. So it does come off as a way where I'm like not listening, not like just being grumpy for no reason. If I keep saying I don't want to talk about it, so that is kind of my fault on that way because I should open up to her. But yeah, that's basically what happens. I keep saying I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it when something happened, like on the bus or in seventh period or at school or early in their day, and it just turned my day upside down. And then I don't tell anybody about it, and then there's a chore to do when I get home, and then I get all upset and I snap, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to ask something really quick. Sorry, Modi.
No, you're
So
good.
what? Okay, if that's happening, first of all, we all need to be like kind, and and tones are important. But would you tell me, so is it important? I don't know how to word this. Well, like basically, do I give you space if you need it? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what
You're
can
not
I
like, tell me now.
no,
You're
what
just,
can I do
you're just asking
differently
nicely.
to assist you and to help you when you're really upset? What can I do that's different?
I think that we both just need to be more open with each other. Like,
Okay.
just, I think that's something that we both can improve on. Just being
Okay.
more open with each other and telling each other everything that needs to be open and out of our system. Because a lot of stuff that ruins people's day can also rain on somebody else. And, like, it
Mm-hmm.
ruins their day too because you can snap on somebody else. And sometimes I do that with my friends and it's not fair to them. So then I say sorry. And sometimes people do it to me and it's not fair and they say sorry. But I think that no matter what's going on, if you feel like you're about to snap with somebody, then say either before or after, like, hey, something's going on. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. You just have to let them know that you're not just trying to be rude, that something's going on.
I think that's a great point. And I mean, I use this in my relationships with adults, married couples. I use it with my husband. I just let him know, hey, I'm having a hard day. I'm at like a 3 today. I don't have a whole lot when you get home. So, I'll ask him to pick up dinner or to take care of himself because I might not actually have the mental or the emotional capacity, and I don't want to react. I don't want to be ugly or snap like she was saying. So it might just be the two of you, or parents, children, if you're listening at home, that y'all have some sort of secret language between yourselves, some sort of secret code that just hey, I'm at 10%, or hey, I'm at 80%. And that way the other person just kind of knows where you are. So if you're communicating with your mom, you get in the car, you come home from school, it might just be, hey, I just had a really hard day and I just want you to know where I'm at right now. You don't have to give all the details. You don't have to tell everything that's going on. I mean, unless that's where you are. And some people want to do that, and that's beautiful. But sometimes just letting the other person know where you're at mentally or emotionally is really helpful so that they know how to be with you that day. And I think connection is always the answer. I see you, I hear you, I know you're having a hard time. I'm here if you need support. And if not, if you need time alone, that's okay too. And looking at it from that angle. The other side of that is parents, especially if you're listening to this, how can you involve the children in a way that makes sense, that benefits both of you, right? So, yes, we all want a clean house, but why does a kid want a clean house? What is that free up time for the parent to do? Does that mean you get to go to the park, or you're going to go out and do something? Maybe you'll go to an event if you take care of the things at home that need to take care of first. So how can the two of you pour into the cup together so that you both get what you want at the end of the day, whether that's watching a movie or having a popcorn night, or going to an event out in town or public, or maybe having a friend over, and not making it like clean your room so you can have a friend, but it's like, hey, let's do this thing so then we can do this thing.
Sorry, she made a noise because that just happened the
Oh,
other day. She said, and it was, if you don't clean your room, and she's actually watching the friend that came over, she did not come over, So I want to ask something. So and warning, if you're a man, we're going to talk about a female thing, okay? But if you have a wife, a girlfriend, a sister, a mom, it's okay. You can listen to it too. It might help. You learn what they're going through. So I have always, I'm not going to say always, but for a long time I struggled with very, very painful periods and like very heavy menstrual cycles. And since working with you, I know one of my wins, because you're amazing and you say, what are our wins? What's going on? What do we need help with? And one of my wins was January, I think. The month of January was the least painful periods I have ever had. And it was so amazing. And I was so grateful for all the work that you do with us. And just caring and just being there and just being the support that we need. And so I tell you all the time, and I'm not going to cry. Maybe, I don't know. I express my feelings, but that I really appreciate you and you mean so much to me. You really do. So, I just want to talk about it just briefly, just because I know it's a lot and it's a topic we don't talk about, but how can it could be any age, but young girls that may not have started their period or about to start their period, now they're already feeling the cramps or they just started their new, what can they do to help with that?
Yeah, this is a great topic, and you're right. It affects all ages of women, no matter where you are. And so, first, thank you for trusting me and letting me walk you through so many of these very personal things because you've put in the work. So you deserve to have the healing and the relief that you have. So thank you for trusting me and following the steps. But there's a couple things that we can do. There's a few acupressure points on the body that are really amazing that help with cramps, hormonal imbalances, things like that. And they're on the feet and the ankle. So I'll show you with my palm and mirror the foot what it would look like. But imagine that this is the heel and these are your toes, right? So just like the regular foot, right above the heel in the middle of the foot, if you push your thumb in and just do some circular motions, that's an acupressure point for hormones and menstrual cramps right there. So that's really cool. Anybody can do that. You can just plop your foot. If you have a friend or a family member, sometimes the ladies sync up together. Y'all can do each other while you're sitting on the couch. You can make it fun. So that's one thing. Another spot is right above the ankle bone. So imagine this is the leg and this is the knee and this is the foot. And so you would take 4 fingers from the ankle, from the heel up, and you'll push in right there on the ankle bone. Now, on the inside of the leg, I wonder if I can pull my leg up to where you can see it. So here's my heel.
Okay.
Right there. And you're going to press and you're going to find a tender spot. And so again, just kind of press and hold it. You feel it? You feel a little tender spot right
there? Tender.
Yeah. So you're just going to hold that spot for like 30 seconds and then let go. And so if you're, struggling with pain, that's a physical thing you could do. Another thing that I like to offer my clients is clary sage. Clary sage is great for hormones for women, whether you are about to start or whether you are going into menopause and all the way through. You can use clary sage to regulate hormones. You can apply the clary sage to those 2 spots on the feet, underneath and to the ankle, right above the ankle that I just showed you, as well as under the belly button, around the uterus area. So you can do that. Another thing that would be really good nutritionally is you want to think about balancing hormones from the inside out. So high protein, high fat, right? Especially around those times where you're feeling that stress or that overwhelm stuff, it's going to be really good for your body. So I always say grass-fed, organic beef, high protein, grass-fed butter, avocados, things like that are going to be really nourishing for the body around that time. What else can we do? We can use simple relaxation techniques like we talked about earlier, some tapping, some breath work, smelling lavender, things like that will relax your body naturally. Magnesium soak in the bathtub. That's something that I do almost every single night, um, regardless of where I'm at in my life and my age and my hormone cycles. Magnesium soak is something that I keep. I buy the big, huge bottle from Amazon. It's a Now brand. Put a few flakes in the tub and soak. That will help with inflammation, relaxation. It'll help you sleep well. So, all of those things can tie into your physical health. Now, mental and emotional, is where I always love to tie things in. And so,
Mhm.
uh, if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, your body might tighten up or cause cramps. So instead of being annoyed by it or frustrated at it, talk to the body, almost like you're talking to somebody else. Like, hey body, I feel you. I know what you're doing. It's okay. Really creating that settling effect in the nervous system. Maybe your body needs rest. Maybe it needs food. Maybe it needs water. Maybe it needs movement. Maybe it's just some somatic work, right? We can tap on the belly. We can just do some little taps on the belly with real gentle, and you can talk to the body that way, um, and express it. Maybe you get a journal out and you write, I'm so angry. I'm so frustrated. I hate this. I'm annoyed. Just give it a spot to land that's not inside your brain. Because remember, just like the lemon, when you're thinking about it, it's finding spots in your body to attack. So maybe you write it down on a piece of paper and you go throw it in the garbage can. Get rid of it. You don't need to keep it, but express it. It might be grabbing a pillow and screaming into a pillow. I used to dunk my head underwater and scream in the bathtub, but it's letting it out. And it doesn't always have to be screams or anger or frustration, but a lot of times, especially around that time when those hormones are kind of going back and forth, that's just what it feels like in your body. So I think it's important to get it out, give it a space to land versus holding it and pulling it down. Um, and just breathing, like we did earlier. Maybe put your hand on your belly, a hand on your heart, take a few breaths, regulating the nervous system, but understanding that, it might be nervousness about growing up, body stuff happening, changes, things like that, going to school, being nervous about, whatever's going on. Sometimes that's embarrassing or we worry about things like that, other people knowing or seeing. And so we get in our head a lot. So remember, ground down to the feet, love on the body, support it nutritionally, physically, mentally, emotionally, all aspects. And that brings us into wholeness and healing.
You're so awesome, by the way. I think you know that. And this is not something we would get into now, especially at the end, but you have been through so much and we've been through similar stuff. And so the fact that you went from being on pain medication and sleeping medication and having surgeries and all this stuff, and now you're free of all that. You used to wear glasses. What the world? And you don't. I mean, this stuff is like fascinating. So it's real. Like this really, really works. And it's so amazing that you're my coach, but you're my mentor. You actually have made me a better coach by just the way that you coach. But it's so like effective and it's so real and it's really inspiring the way that you have changed your life and that you help change other people's lives. Um, do you remember the question, Matt?
Oh, if you could go back and ask your 13-year-old self something, what would you say?
Ooh.
What would you tell your
Oh, what would you tell your?
Yeah, what would I tell her? I would tell her that it's not a big of a deal as what she thinks it is right now.
Mhm.
That really looking back, I know it's really a big deal in the moment. But at some point you get older and you move on and life goes on and everybody grows up and the things that used to really affect you aren't always as bad as you thought they were. And so I think it's just hold on, get through it. And I think one of the things that I would tell my younger self the most is to trust myself, to trust my body, to trust my knowing. Because I think children are super intelligent. I think they're brilliant. And once they're conditioned, that's when we get confused about how to heal our bodies. But your brain knows exactly what to do, and your body is brilliant. It keeps your heart beating, it makes you breathe, it circulates your blood, it digests your food. It If you cut your finger, your skin heals back, right? Your body stops bleeding, you don't bleed out. If you break a bone, your body grows it back together. I think it's really important to remember how smart and intelligent our systems are. And so the most important thing would be love yourself, take care of yourself. Things are not as big as they seem in the moment. And um, yeah, I think that would pretty much be it. And I would love to tell 13-year-old Monique that. I think it would have made her life a lot easier.
Hmm. I agree. I love that because that's exactly like that's one thing I would say as well. Um, so a new question that we're doing this. Why I want to say?
Oh yeah, I'm listening.
Why are you shaking your head?
No, I was like,
She's
Sorry,
like,
this
"It's
is
also
so
good."
this is so live, okay? Everybody that knows if you knew me before how I am, this is double the, the fun.
yeah.
But anyway, so and it's really authentic, which the name of the show is, and that's what the question is. What advice would you give someone for to tell them like how to be their authentic self? We probably already talked about a lot of things, but something for them to like really you help people find like what they want and who they are. So what would you tell like say a young girl?
Yeah, yeah. I would say that to be yourself is one of the hardest and the easiest things you'll ever do. It's both. So if no one were around, if you weren't worried about being embarrassed or called out or anybody doing anything, how would you show up? What would you do? Would you join the talent show? Would you try out for the dance team? Would you go to the skating rink and try skate? Like, what would you do if no one had an opinion about it? And I think that that's where your heart really is. Now, showing up and doing that is a little bit more difficult, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that. But I think the part of you that knows what's correct for you would do the thing that they would do if no one were watching, if no one had a thought or a comment.
Okay. Can I say one thing?
Of course.
Do you have anything to say to the people watching this currently, or to the people who will watch it after?
Yeah. Um,
She said a lot, but you mean anything else?
Yeah, anything else.
She just said so many things.
yeah. I think it's really just kind of wrapping up everything that we've talked about. Trust yourself, connect with the people you love, create the communication that feels safe, take care of your body, honor yourself, you know, do the things that light you up. If doing cartwheels in the yard lights you up, go do a bunch of cartwheels. You know, if reading books or hanging out with your friends lights you up, do that. Um, Obviously, talk to your parents before you do anything crazy. Don't do anything crazy. But it's what makes you feel good. Do more of that.
And then I know like we're at the end, but really quick, what you did with us that I really liked was when we say something and we feel and then you tell us like, does that feel tight or do you relax? Um, and would you like suggest that about things or kind of explain it briefly if you can, like what you did with us?
Yeah. So I think if something feels uncomfortable in the body, right? If you have head pressure, if you can go to the head pressure and almost look at it like you're watching a television show or a play up on the stage. And I like to make myself little tiny, Monique, and like look inside my body and see what's happening. But I like to describe it with very non problematic, neutral words. Is it big? Is it small? Is it tight? Is it pushing against? Is it on the outside? Is it on the inside? And I begin to really describe what I'm feeling as an outsider looking at something versus the person inside the pain. And when we do that, it can begin to neutralize what's actually happening. So if you had a stomach ache, just almost watch it from the inside of your body. What does it look like? Does it have a color? Is it moving? Is there a shape to it? Get really curious and kind of lean into it. Like, hey, I see you. I see what you're doing there. You're just kind of moving all around, swirling around. Maybe you're orange and big and making all this noise. Maybe we'll try to stop you and go the other direction. See if I can make you stop swirling, right? Just use the power of your brain. See what you can do to bend or soften whatever that attack is on the body. And again, coming back, breathing, writing, expressing, moving, tapping, all the things that we talked about can also help in the same way. So if you can't get all the way there, maybe you just start with something really simple to begin with. So no right or wrong. Start with what works for you. And if anybody has questions or wants to discuss this, or maybe parents need some support with their kids, y'all don't hesitate to reach out, connect with me.
Yeah.
We have your website link.
Perfect.
Yeah, McKenna just added it. So speaking of that, where else can we find you other than the website that plus people are listening only. So if you want to just list off some ways that places people can find you.
Yeah, so I'm on all social media platforms under Monique the Mind Body Coach, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Really doesn't matter what platform you're on. I'm on all of them. So you can find me that way. You can go to my website, Monique Arnaud Derouen, or you can Google Monique the Mind Body Coach. That should pull up my business information as well. I have live events. I have online things. We have such a plethora of ways to do this work. I've got some ebooks coming out. I've got some ones on triggers right now that are really good. They have workbooks. Those are all free. So no matter where you're at in your healing journey, whether you're a young adult, a child, or an adult, there is a way to implement this into your world. And I am here to help and guide and support. So again, if anyone has questions about anything we've talked about or just wants to know more about chronic pain or ailments or symptoms, don't hesitate. Shoot me a message, find me on one of the platforms, and let's connect.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you have, I know some of them are limited amount of people, but if you are in, oh my gosh, I know what you're called. Something Springs. No, what are you? Rapid something Springs?
Glenwood.
What is it called? Glenwood. Definitely not a spring. But if you're
Glenwood Springs. It's Glenwood Springs. Yeah.
Oh, is it Glenwood Springs?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I thought there was a spring somewhere. But you have a hot spring, don't you, or something like that? Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're in that area in Colorado, she does a lot of stuff. She does physical work where she heals you by touch. She does. We didn't talk about your massage therapist. You're like a lot of things. But she does amazing retreats. I'm going to make it to one, and it's like life changing. I'm in her community, of course, and so I hear from a lot of the ladies that actually have gone to several. And so if you're in that area, reach out to her, find out when they are. And some of them are a limited amount of people, but she has stuff all the time. So honestly, I'm telling you this is not a commercial, this is genuine, that if you are suffering from chronic pain, migraines, back pain, I don't care where the pain is, the heavy periods, whatever, trauma, all kinds of things, please reach out to her. She will literally get to the bottom of it. That's what she loves to do. I'm not trying to speak for you, Monique, but don't you love to just figure out like what the problem, you know, like what is causing all of this. And so, yeah, please reach out to her. I'm so glad and grateful that I did. She has changed my life. And even just being in her community, we have calls and I will sneak at work and I don't want to get in trouble. So if you're watching from my work, sorry, but I'll sneak at work and get on the calls if I can, which she saw me run one time. That was pretty funny. And but that's how much I want to be there and be present and be a part of it because it really does change my life. So thank you again. Again, I get emotional about it because when you suffer from stuff and you're not suffering for, I still have back pain, but when you're not suffering from everything anymore, it's like such a beautiful thing, right? It just like opens up. You're like, oh, you know. So sorry, that was a lot, but thank you.
Thank you, and let's work on that back pain. Let's get that knocked out.
Thank you. I would love to. McKenna's typing away. Okay, McKenna, you want to say bye and thank you?
Oh.
Fixing your hair.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much for being on. If you guys, like she said, if you guys have anything to say, like I think Alana's mom was on here. If you have anything to say, then you can email her or comment later in the
We
video.
didn't say her email, but
or talk to my mom and she will email her. Yeah, and just make sure to reach out if you have anything to say. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and I hope that we had some valuable things for your guests to take home. And you know, again, I'm here if anybody has questions about any of this stuff. It is an open book in my world. So
yes, and she's very reliable, and she'll like literally get back to you like, and she's busy. Okay, by the way, she's busy. She does a lot more than we said, but she will get back to me like very soon, within a few minutes sometimes, and she's just amazing. But next week, guys, we are at 3 p.m. again, so we will be in the light instead of the dark. But it's okay. I like the dark too.
Unless
So
we're in Georgia, so it's dark here.
Right.
Unless you're somewhere else.
Yeah. Very good point.
Because sometimes we're in the dark at 3 o'clock.
Oh. What if they're in England or something? It's the middle of the night.
Could be.
All right. Poor Monique. Okay. So thank you guys again for watching and listening. And thank you, Monique, from the bottom of my heart for coming and talking to us. And we covered so many important topics, which I think is amazing. So thank you so much. Have a great night.
Good night.
And I will talk to you soon.
bye, everybody.